And for more on the grim milestone in the UK of over 100,000 deaths from the coronavirus pandemic, I am joined by broadcast journalist Tete Kofi. He joins me from London via Skype. Good to have you join us, Tete Kofi. The Prime Minister said that they did all they could in terms of trying to minimize the number of deaths. Now, if they did all they could, how come or how did the UK become one of the countries with the worst death tolls from the coronavirus?
Well, the general consensus of opinion in the United Kingdom is that despite his protestations that he's done all he could, there has been a woeful lack of leadership in their fight against the coronavirus. There have been three things that have gone wrong. The leadership has been wrong, the messaging has been wrong, and as a result of it, perhaps the biggest, most important asset which any government requires, the trust of its people, is now beginning to wobble.
So there is another concern. The UK is now out of is now out of the European Union completely. That happened on December 31st. And there are also concerns that the European Union might not spread the vaccines to the UK, and that concern is expressed by the UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Now, what would that mean for the UK in trying to minimize the death toll and curb the spread of this virus?
Well, what the vaccine does at the moment, as we've been kind of advised, is that it stops the death from the virus, but it doesn't stop the sharing of the virus around the country. In terms of supplies of the virus, I don't think we have too many fears about the accessibility or the availability of the virus, because the Oxford variant, AstraZeneca, is available and is being made right here in the United Kingdom. What the deficit arises from is the structure and the organization. And we've seen this before. We spent £12 billion on a track and trace system, which Mr. Johnson told us all was going to be a world-beating system. Now, here are the statistics. Only 18% of people who had symptoms and tested positive were able to be locked down and quarantined. For the test and track system to be effective, we would have needed 80% of the people who tested positive to be isolated, quarantined, so that we could reduce the curve and the trajectory of the pandemic. So that was a crashing failure. And of course, because our test and trace system wasn't working very well, the pandemic just absolutely, took on a life of its own, especially with the new, what we call the UK variant of COVID-19.
Broadcast journalist Tete Kofi, thanks for talking to us.
Pleasure.